Incredible, La Condamine. This is the story of a man whose life was shaped by this earth-shattering question. Was the earth shaped like a squashed tomato, or was it more like a giant boiled egg? Young Charles-Marie's family was frightfully posh and rich. When he was 18, he became a soldier and fought in a war. But his dream was to become a geodesist. A geodesist is a scientist who studies the size and shape of the earth, tells us Miles. As it turned out, Charles-Marie didn't have long to wait. In the 1730s, a bitter row broke out at the Academy of Sciences in Paris about the Earth's exact shape. Want to know what all the fuss was about? Here's two squabbling geographers to fill you in on the baffling details. The Earth is without doubt an oblate spheroid. I'll wager my wig on it. Pish and poppycock, the Earth is a polate spheroid, and I'll eat my wig. Well, what on earth are they talking about? Roughly translated, an oblate spheroid is a slightly squashed circle, and a prolate spheroid is a circle that has been stretched. Sort of. Confused? You're in good company. By the way, the reason horrible geographers needed to know the shape of the planet was to make navigation, that's finding the way from A to B, more accurate, and stop explorers from getting horribly lost. Before the whole thing went pear-shaped, the Academy decided to send out 2 expeditions to settle the matter. One to the Arctic and the other to South America. And guess who was chosen to lead the South American trip? Brilliant La Condamine, of course. He set sail from France in May 1735 with a boatload of bad-tempered geographers and all their earth measuring gear. They were still bickering as they set off. A year later, they rambled through blooming rainforests and reached the city of Quito, high up in the Andes Mountains in Peru, though it's now in Ecuador. Pretty far from home. If postcards had been invented then, La Condamine might have sent one like this to his boss back home. Quito, Peru, 1736. To the Academy of Science, Paris, France. Dear boss, well, we finally made it, but it was hard work getting here. On the way, we were attacked by pirates and 1 man died from a fatal fever. Still, I made an amazing discovery. Guess what? Rubber grows on trees. If you don't believe me, I'm sending you some bits of rubber as a souvenir. And I've made a brilliant rubber bag to carry my things in. It's waterproof and it bounces if I accidentally drop it. Best wishes, CM de La Condamine. La Condamine was right, of course. Rubber is made from a milky sap of the rubber tree that grows in the South American rainforest. When the news of his discovery reached Europe, it caused a massive stir, and before long, the rubber business was booming. La Condamine and his team set to work taking measurements and making maps. It took years and years and to finally work things out. But just as they were about to announce their findings, disaster struck. a letter arrived from the Academy. The other team had proven that the Earth was an oblate spheroid, it said, and pipped them to the post. So they could all pack up and go home. After all of their hard work, that was a bitter blow. So he wrote, or he might have written another postcard here. Cuenca, Peru, 1739. Dear Boss, thank you for your letter and the good news. I don't think. I'm afraid some of the men didn't take it too well. 2 went mad, one fell off a ladder and died, and 1 was murdered by an angry mob of in the bull ring. It had something to do with a girl, I'm told. I won't come home just yet, thanks. I've decided to take a little holiday and sail down the Amazon. See you soon. Best wishes, CM de la Condamine. Some holiday it turned out to be. Curious La Condamine decided to take the long way home along the awesome Amazon River and all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. But it wasn't plain sailing. His 4-month journey took him deep into dense jungle and uncharted waters, where angry alligators and peckish piranha fish were known to lurk. For most of the way, La Condamine traveled by canoe or flimsy raft. Once, the raft got hopelessly caught up in a whirlpool, spinning around and around for hours on end. Besides, the weather was horribly hot and humid, and he was plagued by maddening swarms of mosquitoes and flies. But for our hardy hero, it was heavenly. He was so busy noting down everything he'd seen, he only had time to scribble one last postcard home. And that is this one. The Amazon River, 1743. To the Academy of Science, Paris, France. Dear Boss, what a place. I am having an amazing time. I have made lots of notes about the river and its wonderful wildlife. The jungle on the riverbank is stuffed full of blooming plants and animals. But did you know there aren't any poisonous snakes in the whole of the Amazon? Amazing, isn't it? I think I might get a nice little snake for a pet. Mustache, lots to do. CM de la Condamine. Horrible health warning. Oops. If you're out and about in the Amazon rainforest, do not listen to La Condamine's crackpot tip. Some deadly poisonous snakes do lurk in the blooming rainforest. So La Condamine was wrong. Dead wrong. Even a jaguar would be a much safer bet as a pet. Compared to some of these revolting reptiles, it's a pussycat. Incredible La Condamine reached home in 1745 and was given a hero's welcome. It was the first time a river had been explored simply for science's sake. For curious La Condamine was more of a nature rambler than a river rover. His notebook was crammed full of notes, maps, sketches about the river and the people and wildlife he'd seen, and that other horrible geographers had never seen before. Earth-shattering fact here. Explorers often face danger. It goes with the territory. Take posh German geographer Baron Alexander von Humboldt. In 1799, Alexander set off for South America, and he suffered horribly. On his journey down the Orinoco River, he was bitten badly by mosquitoes. His food ran out, and he had to live on ants and dried cocoa beans and washed down by rancid river water. He wasn't too happy about that, was he? He deliberately drank some deadly poison to see if it would make him ill. It did, but not fatally. And then he gave himself a nasty shock by picking up an electric eel. But you wouldn't suffer like that for geography, huh? But he did, didn't he? Elsewhere in the world, river roving was positively surging ahead. Now, horrible geographers set their sights on the awesome rivers of Africa. But they needed a willing volunteer. By chance, a famous Intrepid explorer had a bit of free time on his hands.